What's up, guys? It's EmiNES back again. Today we're talking some Pokemon. I don't know. That's the intro. I should have done something clever, but I couldn't think of anything. So, I mean, Pokemon. It's pretty good. Right? Not these days, but it used to be the shit. I don't know if you can see all of this around me. There's more, too. I have, like, advertisements and shit from, like, Burger King back in the day. I have, like, the toys for this that, like, came with this and shit. I have Lunchables, fucking, like, this is from a box. Like, you could win a Gameboy and, like, an N64 and stuff. Like, back in the day. I cut these out because I'm crazy. I don't know. This one has Pokemon packs on it. I remember this. I used to quiz people with this, you know? Like, that's pretty cool. I remember we printed these out back in the day, and they all have, like, their, I don't know, Italian names or some shit. It's, like, the first several Pokemon. You know, it's not, like, all of them. It's just to a certain point. But I still got that shit. Yeah, we're talking red and blue today, by the way, once I get through showing all my stupid shit. Oh, these were the trivia questions here. I taped them to a piece of paper. They're from a Lunchables box from, like, the 90s. I was really into Pokemon, did you know? I have the hat, too. I got that in, like, when I was, like, 20 or something. Here, these are from, like, a while ago when I was trying to go through and get all the Pokemon in, like, high school. I actually still have these. Look at this. I even printed these off from, like, game packs or some shit. It tells you, look at this. It tells you, like, where they are and stuff, and, like, how you can evolve them and stuff. That's crazy. Look, I made a, oh my god, what is this? Oh, this one's for Pokemon Gold, like, when I was doing that. Look, I, like, wrote these down and stuff, the ones that I needed. One that really means a lot to me is this. This is, my brother drew this for me when I was a little kid. Charmander is my favorite Pokemon. By the way, if you couldn't tell, you can't see my earrings. They're Charmander. I mean, it's Charizard, but you know, got Pokemon Red. I don't know if I asked for Pokemon Red or what, but, like, I'll tell that story here in a second. I've got this little Charmander plush here. I mean, he really is not that represented throughout all of this stuff, but this is a picture my brother drew. It means a lot to me. I really like this one. Only got a 19 out of 25, though. Come on, this is really good. This is like, this looks like Charmander. This is great. It's a little, it's not bad. I mean, no, this is great, the picture, but it's a little, beat up now, but I mean, it's from, like, the 90s, so, or, like, the 2000s or whatever. Yeah. I have this thing from when we went to Disney. Apparently my cousins gave me that. It's got, like, you know, Pokemon stuff in there and Disney stuff. I have these, my Pokemon shoes. I don't have the shoes anymore. I think they got too small for me, but here's the shoe box, which is fucking epic. I have this shirt that I found in a fucking car in my dad's old business that's seen many better days, and it is no longer in very great condition, but it's still nostalgic. I still love it. Like an old Pokeball. Had, like, I don't know, one of the Pokemon in here. I have this from the Pokemon trading card game, which I had a lot of back in the day. I also played that a bit. My fucking Pokemon watch that you can't see because my lighting is just not fucking working today. Where is it? This shit, which I wanted to show off. If anybody has a copy of this, I fucking want this again. It's so obscure, but it's something I had as a kid, and I remember looking at it all of the time. And it was like Pokemon and Digimon, and I guess it's the first volume of this, but, I remember when I was a little kid, I would read it so much and I would take it with me everywhere. I got sick one time and I puked on the inside of it. Luckily the outside was, you know, savable, I suppose, so I just kept this. Wait, what does this say? display until September 22nd, 2000. That's crazy. But yeah, Pokemon and Digimon were real big back then, obviously. Some other things from my childhood. I have this. This is my childhood official copy. I had the green one. I think I still have that one somewhere. I didn't grab that. I might have got rid of that at some point. I know I had a yellow one, which is actually pretty rare. Like that I got. These were all like, you could get them through the Scholastic stuff or whatever. Yeah, it even says on the back there, Scholastic. But like, there was a yellow one for Johto too. I traded it to my friend Mayab. I know he doesn't have it anymore, but unfortunate, because it's actually I can barely see them online. But these ones are pretty common. So is the green one. But that yellow one I never see anymore. But it's cool. It has like facts and stuff about every Pokemon. It's got incorrect facts about certain Pokemon and when they learn moves and stuff. It's neat, but it's you know, it's nostalgic, if anything. My Pokemon VHS that I used to watch is the first 3 episodes of the anime, which the Pokemon anime is amazing. What does this say about... Oh, Pokemon is apparently how it's pronounced. You can't really see... There's no way you're going to be able to see that, but in this, like, section over here, it says Pokemon. That's how you're supposed to say it. Extraordinary characters with unlimited potentials, or unlimited possibilities, collected and traded by children of all ages, 1 to 150, which is a lie because there's 151 at this point, but still. Viz video for kids, yeah. That's some nostalgic shit right there. This is my actual VHS from back in the day. I wonder if it still works. I bet it still works. I mean, my Lion King VHS, you know, I watched it so many times it got destroyed. My lucky Pokemon wallet that has all the starters on there from Gen 1. I guess except Eevee, if you want to really count Eevee. But the original 3 starters, which are the important ones, and Pikachu. Used it so much that... because the reason I used it for so long was that every time I would lose it, it would always come back to me, even if there was no note or anything inside of it saying, like, how to get back to me with it. It would always come back to me. And so, that was really cool. I retired it after the last time. It's just too beat up. I just have, like, a regular wallet now. I'm an adult, I guess. I don't have a fun wallet anymore. I have these, you can't really see them, but they're Eevee fucking pants, you know? Pocket Pikachu, something I had when I was a kid. I had the first one, lost it, had the second one, lost it, had the second one again later on, fucking lost it. I have that box somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I think it's at my mom's house, but my friend Nick gave this to me. This is from Japan. Actually, I think I bought this off of him or something. My Pokemon plushies. I got this one, this one, this one later on. But this one was the very first one I got. This Pikachu here. Back in the day, I had that. So that one's real old. That's from like the 90s or the early 2000s. This guy right here I got in the year 2000 when we went to Disney. I specifically remember getting it in Disney, which is crazy. What else? Okay, so I guess now we just start to... Oh, and of course, my Pokemon purse. I've got so much more other Pokemon stuff too, but my Pokemon purse. This is how hard of a fan I am. This is such a cute purse though. Look at this. I knew it. I knew as soon as I was going to start using them, I had to have a Pokemon one, especially Eevee and Pikachu. It's cute. It's adorable. So, Pokemon Red. Alright, let's tell the story. If this wasn't I already talked about the hat. Right. Well, if that wasn't enough, let's tell the story. Oh, and of course I have my lovely Pikachu DS charger there, or whatever, that I got like way later on. Totally forgot that was even Pokemon related, but it's appropriate for today. I'm like 90%. Oh, this stupid Pokemon Trader's Guide I just got randomly at Disc Replay. It's awful. It's so off-brand, but it's incredible. All right. So this here is the story of Pokemon, for me anyway. Now, I think I had seen a bit of the anime, and maybe everyone around me was super hype on Pokemon, you know? And I think I liked it. I think I had this book before I had the actual, like, games or whatever, so I would just, like, read over it, read facts about it. Like, I'd been talking to a kid at school, or not at school, at, like, daycare or something, about it, and I was making up, oh yeah, I have this one in the game, I have this one, oh, I don't have my game right now, but I have this one, you know, like, that kind of thing. Because that's what kids do, right? They make shit up. So, anyway, but, like, you know, I think I had, like, seen the anime and stuff, and, like, I was, you know, getting to the point where I needed to play the games, right? So, I remember talking to my parents, like, eternally about it. Like, I need this game, I need Pokemon, I need a Game Boy to play it. I had other systems that I played video games on, but they were my brother's systems. So we had, like, a PS1 and an NES and a bunch of other systems that N64, stuff that he played on. Actually, did we have an N64? I had an N64 later. I don't know if he had one. Anyway, that was after I got Pokemon, though. So, the very first system I ever got of my own is this here. This limited edition. And you can see it's Gen 2 themed. So yes, it was a little bit later on after Pokemon was being pretty hype, you know, right as Gen 2 was coming out. So let's say, like, about the year 2000. So I was about 9 or so. Because I got this for my birthday. And I have a summer birthday, July 14th. So, it's not this specific Game Boy because something happened to my one of it. The only thing I have left of it is the battery cover, which is over there somewhere. But this here is this is the Game Boy. This is the one I had, which is a pretty kind of rare Game Boy now. It's not cheap by any means. For Game Boy Color, that is. I'm sorry, it's a Game Boy Color. But it's like a limited edition one, you know? And I didn't know anybody else who had it. The only other person who I've seen who has it, now, I'm sure people have it now, but that I've seen that has it is Tamashi Hiroka. So I think that's pretty cool. Because when I saw it in her video, I'm like, oh my god, I had that! That's the one! You know? I'm like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. I'm like, that's the one! You know, like, so, it's such a cool box, though. I wish you could see all the Pokemon and, like... And, I mean, Gen 2 is fucking hype. It's, like, one of my favorite Pokemon games. This itself is just so nostalgic. This is the actual box. I don't have the actual Game Boy anymore. I don't know what happened to it. But the box itself is the original box. From that day. How many years ago? 24 years ago, you know, almost. It'll be this summer. It'll be 24 years ago. So, I've been asking for it for a while, you know, and I needed it. I wanted a Game Boy Color just to play Pokemon, basically. And I was like, I need it. I want it. I want game, you know, need a Game Boy. I need Pokemon, right? So my mom comes home. You can see I have 2 copies here. That one, the nice one, is my brother's copy that he kept in good condition. The box anyway. I don't have the actual copies of the game anymore. I must have sold those a long time ago. Actually, in high school, I bought Pokemon Red, Blue, and Gold. Still the copies I have today, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Gold, off of my friend Sean for like 20 bucks or something. Pretty good deal, obviously. The labels are a little worse for wear. This one, I think, is the best one. And this is the actual cartridge I played on. Still saves for now and everything. We can show that off in a bit here. Also, I played it on my super cool Game Boy Advance SP, which I've showed off before, that my friend Mab made for me. And you can see Charmander's on the back there, because it's my favorite Pokemon. Yeah, but this is my original box. This and this are the 2 things that allowed me to play Pokemon back in the day. This right here. These are it. This is the real deal here. So, it's my birthday. Or it's not my birthday. It's actually before my birthday. It's like a week before my birthday. And I'm getting hyped, you know? I want these games so badly. And I'm just waiting and anticipating. And then my mom says, hey, do you want your birthday present early? And I'm like, fuck yeah. Only I didn't say fuck yeah. I did not say fucking. If you know that joke. Anyway, that's basically what I was thinking in my head. And I was so excited. And then she gives me these. Pokemon, and this Game Boy Color. This super fucking cool Game Boy Color. And Pokemon Red. And I just lost it. It was one of the coolest birthday presents ever. I would say rivaled by, like, maybe my Game Boy Advance or something, but, like, fuck the Game Boy Advance. This was Pokemon and fucking the Game Boy Color. These things were my childhood. I played this shit so fucking much. I probably went through Pokemon as a game, like at least 20, 30 times, like, as a kid. And I just keep going through it because it was fun, you know? And I played blue version, and I played yellow version later on. It was the staple game of my childhood, you know? The very first game that was technically on my very first system, which was this, you know? So, you know, that means a lot to me. So I remember... she's like, here you go. That was the biggest, you know, mom great moment. Like, I mean, there's probably been better moments, but, you know, like, that was, like, my coolest, like, oh, my, this is the coolest mom ever kind of moment. And, she's like, all right, I have to leave and go do something. Your brother's gonna sit here and watch you, quote unquote, all night, you know, basically, which... you know, he would just play, like, computer games and stuff, and I would be in our room, just, like, doing whatever. And I remember, I turned on the game, and I played all the way through. Of course I chose Charmander as my starter. And I went all the way through until, Cerulean, Cerulean City. So I'd done Brock, I did all that, in the first time. It was my first time playing, so, you know, it took me a while to do it too, and it's several hours. I just played straight through, and I remember what was interesting was whatever batteries came in here were dying at the point, you know, because they were like just like shitty batteries that only lasted like 5 or 6 hours or something. So, but I remember I played it all the way through, and then I had to go to sleep because I had to get up the next day. But I was just going to daycare because it was the summer. So, what did I do? I mean, this wasn't like a daycare out of school. This was like a daycare, like, at somebody's house. So what did I do? I brought my Game Boy Color and I just kept playing Pokemon. And I ran out of batteries. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll give you some batteries. And they did that several more times. Especially after I got my hands on gold and silver. But that's a story for another time. Actually, I've already told that story in my Christmas video there. But yes, that's Pokemon. That's my story of how I got it. And now we're going to talk about the game. Holy shit, how far are we? We're already 19 minutes into the video, and now we're finally going to talk about the game. So, Pokemon Red, Blue, and sort of Yellow. I mean, Yellow is just, you get Pikachu, there's more anime references. Certain Pokemon are excluded that you'd have to trade over from Red and Blue. Trading, that's a thing. You need a link cable. I couldn't do it this time because apparently you can't trade between two Game Boy Advance SPs. You have to have the Game Boy cable, which I don't have specifically the Game Boy or the Game Boy Color or whatever cable. I have the SP cables, which that can't trade them. But apparently, if you just use the Game Boy cable, it'll work. So I ordered one, but it's not here yet. I was supposed to arrive today, and then I knew it wouldn't get here in time, because I had one Pokemon I wanted to trade over, which was Graveler, so it would become a Golem. Which is how I figured out about this whole fucking mess with the link cable and all of that. Anyway, so You know, and like I said, I played these games a million times. Of course, I didn't choose Charmander this time because I've already chose Charmander 5 billion times before. And come on, Kanto is like the most remade region. If you think about it, they did Kanto remakes, and then they did Kanto remakes again, and then they also remade Kanto whenever they did Gold and Silver, and then they also did Kanto again whenever they did fucking Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So that's like at least 4 times that I can think of right off the top of my head that we were in Kanto other than in Red and Blue and Yellow. You know, like with the Let's Go and all of that. Um, yeah. So if they do another fucking goddamn Kanto remake, I'm just gonna lose it. If they want to do Kanto Legends or whatever, you know, Mew, that would be sweet. Of course, we have to talk about, with my Pokemon memories, the famous Mew glitch. You know, we always thought it was under the truck, but it turns out you have to just do this convoluted thing with the Cerulean bridge there, or whatever. And I did that back in the day, in, like, middle school or high school, whenever like, whenever YouTube was first starting and they put out a tutorial on that, and I finally found the right tutorial that wasn't, like, bullshitting to me. I just thought Mew was unobtainable in the game, and then later on I realized, like, because all the things I would try didn't work, because people are idiots, and they were posting fake videos back then. Then I found the one that actually was the one that worked, and then it blew my mind that you could actually get Mew in these games, which is crazy. So that, and then of course there's the missing no glitch. Now, back in the day on my first playthrough, as I was in about Fuchsia City, and I forgot to mention, Pokemon was big, you know, for all of like 5 minutes at my school, and then me and my core group of friends, one of them being Mayab, and my friend Nick, who's not my friend Nick now, different Nick, I used to hang out with when I was a kid. We all loved Pokemon, and we would play it, and I would go over to Nick's house sometimes, and he had Pokemon Blue. Later on, I would get Pokemon Blue. I don't remember how much later that was, but that wasn't that much later, if I remember correctly. I was still in elementary school at the time. But yeah, so anyway, so, you know, we would play that, and we would, I don't know if we ever battled each other. I think we did. We must have, right? But anyway, I just remember it was kind of right before I was able to get to Cinnabar Island, but we were on this trip. We're hanging out with, like, some friends of the family or something. Like, my family was out partying or something, or going out to bars, or I don't know what the fuck adults did back then. We were at some person's house or something, and I was playing Pokemon, and the guy's like, you know about the Cinnabar thing? And I'm like, well, I haven't been to Cinnabar Island yet. But he's like, yeah, well, if you fly from the guy who does the Pokemon tutorial to Cinnabar Island, and then you surf up and down the coast, you get a lot of really strong Pokemon, and also this thing missing now. And he was telling me about all this, and I'm like, wow, that sounds really fucking cool. How the hell? Like, and then I tried to rush through to get to Cinnabar, but I just couldn't get there, like, right away. I think he was trying to show me how to do it, but also he was older, so he just, like, didn't care enough to, like, sit there and do it with me, and it's a long game, you know, anyway. So, but I just remember running around in the world on my first playthrough. It was so good. I mean, the world is just so well designed. How it ties in with the anime and stuff. Like, the anime was the shit, man. Like, everyone loved the fucking anime. I mean, not everyone, but seeing Ho-Oh in the first episode, I mean, I know that's a whole separate review, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that anytime soon for Azura Media Club by any means, you know? So, it's great. It's a great anime. You know, it's super well done. Super nostalgic. Everything is super nostalgic about Pokemon, you know? There's not really anything bad other than, like, the Porygon incident, you know, like, with the seizures and all of that. And that was even a big deal back then. And I remember later on in like middle school or high school, I think it was early high school actually, like rediscovering that episode and watching it and being like, in Japanese and subtitle and all that, watching it and be like, this is really good actually. I still have it. I like posted them like in 3 parts, the episode, to my Facebook, I think, or something at the time. It might have been on my old YouTube. I don't know. I remember at one point they had like every episode of Pokemon just sitting on YouTube, like of the first thing or whatever, and I would just download them all because you could download YouTube videos back then. You could still do it now, but like it was easier to do. It was like directly involved in the thing, and I put them on my iPod. Obviously, this is way later in like high school or whatever, but I put them on my iPod and like started watching them again. That was high school. I remember that because I remember I was watching them. Man, that must have been like sophomore year or something. That was good shit. Or maybe freshman year. I don't know. That was good times though. I like that. There was like a resurgence of Pokemon for like half a second in middle school with Pokemon cards or something, and like that's how I met Kudron. So like whatever. So that's pretty funny, but Pokemon United, people. You remember Pokemon Go? How big that was when that fucking came out? That's because everyone loves Gen 1, right? Like, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about Gen 1 right now, which is like, the best, I know it hasn't aged well in some aspects, but I don't really think it's that badly, poorly aged, Honestly, it's still a great game. There are some limitations of the time, You can't just walk up to a boulder, hit A when your Pokemon has strength, and it'll do the strength thing. But guess what? That gets added in the next game. They knew it was a problem. They fixed it, Whatever, like, the first game didn't have that. People think that's bad. Whatever. I don't care about that. I was there when these... Have you played Dragon Quest? You have to, like, go into the menu to talk to people and go on stairs and shit. Like, this is nothing compared to that. That's so, like, that's such a minor thing. I would never complain about that, like, these days. It's not convenient, sure, but it's not terrible. Limited bag space kind of sucks, because, you definitely run out of bag space at some point, so you gotta be cautious of that. The fact that all the TMs are just, like, named what they are, like, in the later games where you'll see, like, TM 37 or something, and it's, like, or 42, or whatever explosion is. Is 42 submission, or which one is that? I think that is submission. TMs, that's a cool thing. I mean, there's they're only one single use, but I mean, that's how it was back in the day, You just teach them to one Pokemon and that's it. You kind of get one shot at most of them, and that's kind of it. I forgot to go and give the girl on the top all the drinks to get those TMs. Those are good ones. On top of Celadon City there. Forgot about that. There's so many, like, little good, intricate secrets like that, too. You, like, trade an NPC a bunch of drinks next to a vending machine, and, which, you're basically just buying them for her at that point. And she gives you all these cool TMs, there's shit like that. There's, like, items just scattered everywhere that are on odds and ends corners of the world, and, you gotta go find them. Or, like, if you have surf now, and you go back to a route, that had water on it, sometimes you could find, like, an item or a new Pokemon there or something, and the world is constantly opening up to you in more ways every time you kind of traverse farther, They have stuff like the fossils, like, you get one during the story, but, you can, like, go and get the Aerodactyl one from the cut tree at the Pewter City Museum. So, like, if you didn't know about that, there's so many little things like that you might just not know about. I mean, you know about it now because of the internet, but back in the day, man, holy shit, it was so cool figuring out stuff like that. Or people would, like, tell you, you're like, oh man, I haven't you know, you gotta catch them all, right? So it's like, where's Chansey at? Well, Chansey's in the Safari Zone, and it's in the cave, Cerulean Cave there, Mewtwo's cave, you know? It's there, so you just gotta go find it. Or like Tauros was one you were always looking for, and it's such a rare encounter in the Safari Zone, and it's like, it's fucking Safari Zone, you know? Like, that shit sucks, because it's like, you like throw the bait, you throw the rock. I mean, apparently you just, the bait like makes it harder to catch the or it makes them less likely to run, but it makes them harder to catch the Pokemon, and then the rock makes them more likely to run, but it's easier to catch the Pokemon. And it's just all a game of chance in the Safari Zone. There's so many like little mechanics and stuff like that too. But it's a fun like side mini game, you know, once you actually reach Fuchsia City. The problem I would say with Red and Blue specifically is that on repeat playthroughs, and I mean this is, I guess it's a minor problem, but it's kind of problematic for team building. When you're trying to go back through and repeat playthroughs, I want to get like a Staryu or something, right? So that I can, you know, use that, because I've never used that as a water type, or like a Poliwag or something. But you have to keep the Pokemon at their first stage or their second stage for a long time, until like the level's 50 or something, you know, or like 30 something, to get some of the more valuable moves. And they even did this as far as like Gen 3 or whatever. I don't remember a lot in Gen 2, but maybe I just don't know about it in Gen 2. But I'm pretty sure like Typhlosion and stuff like learns Flamethrower and Fire Blast along the way with natural progression. You don't have to like keep it a Cyndaquil for like, you know, all the game just to learn these things. It's like in this game you just like don't learn it if you go on to the next stage without learning it, kind of thing. So you have to be really careful for stuff like that. I don't know. It's just like it's like I remember when I had Vulpix like on one of my old teams. I wanted to use Vulpix last time I played this game, I think, and I wanted to use Ninetales, but you know Ninetales doesn't learn like, or Vulpix doesn't learn like Flamethrower until like a really late level. So it's like you want it to know Flamethrower, so you just got to get it through the to that. But I mean Vulpix is weaker, so it's like you want it to evolve, obviously, but it just takes a while, you know. And I mean, the game's not long or anything, and it's only like, I clocked in at just under 30 hours for my playthrough. Of course, this is like my millionth playthrough of this fucking game, so I knew exactly what I was doing, and I just kind of beelined for the main stuff. But I did do the side stuff too. I mean, I didn't catch them all this time. I've done it a lot before. I've done it at least like 3 or 4 times before. I did it when I was a kid. You know, I did it when I was doing my Pokemon, collecting all the Pokemon thing. So yeah, I mean, you know, and of course that's a great goal for the game. It's kind of a hard challenge to do with the starters and the EV and stuff, since there's no breeding in these games. Gen 2 makes it a lot easier with breeding, because you can reasonably just trade your starter over, or you could breed an egg of your starter, and then you would have the first form that you could just trade to somebody, which is like what you can do now. But I mean, as soon as Gen 2 they started doing that, but Gen 1 didn't have that, so it made it a lot harder to do. You'd have to do multiple playthroughs to get multiple EVs, because you only get one EV per playthrough as a gift Pokemon in Celadon City, which is like halfway through the fucking game. So, you know, you'd have to go all that way, and there's 3 evolutions, and if you're doing a living dex, that's 4 playthroughs, because you want EV. Oh boy, I mean, that would just be a whole thing. Not that you would want to do it with Gen 1 living dex, like, that's unnecessary to do. I just want to mention this since it's happening right now. There's Lavender Town, of course, with the creepy-ass music, but the music is just legendary, obviously. It's so good. And when they remix it for everything, like the anime and stuff, it's amazing. It's such a wonderful soundtrack. So freaking nostalgic, but everyone was so scared of this song for years, and they thought it would, like, give people headaches and killed a bunch of Japanese kids or something, but it's like, it didn't happen. That wasn't a thing. They were confusing it with that Porygon episode, where they were making shit up, you know, creepypastas and whatnot. A lot of the early creepypastas were kind of video game related ones anyway, were based on Pokemon, you know, with the white hand and all of that. The dialogue in the game is nice and charming and very interesting. It's a very good localization. Most of it makes sense. Most of it's pretty helpful. A lot of it adds to the lore of the world and stuff, and I think that's really cool. Anyway, let's talk about that move thing again, because that's kind of the problem. That's my one main problem with the game. So it's like, you know, when I'm trying to get these Pokemon, it's the move thing, and then it's like, at the same time, Pokemon are so far into the game that when I want to use these Pokemon like Staryu or like, you know, Tauros or something, I'm not going to use that because by the time I get it in the game, it's already so late and it's just not going to do me any good. But, yeah, so let's talk about my journey on this time, I suppose. So I played Pokemon Red this time around, and I was doing it because I had this car ride. I had a couple of car rides, actually, like 4 hours from here, so that gave me a lot of time to just kind of grind on the side there, but, I did do the side content. I didn't catch them all, like I said. I got Moltres and Articuno, which Articuno I actually used on my team. It was the last addition to my team. I killed Zapdos, so I didn't go back and try that again, whatever. And then I caught Mewtwo. I caught Moltres in a Pokeball, too, so that was fun. But... oops. Here's my team. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. So, let's see if we can go through. Oops. How do you... oh yeah, you just... stats. Okay. So there's my Raichu. I got it as a Pikachu in the Viridian Forest. Can I, you have to, like, go back and go out, don't you? Yeah, with each one. Later on, you can just switch the... there's my starter. I chose Bulbasaur this time because it's my least chosen starter, as it were. Because I always choose fucking, you know, Charmander. So, and now it's a big old Venusaur there. And then, I wanted a water Pokemon. Like I said, I was trying to get, like, a Staryu or, like, a Poliwag. I think I'm going to do Poliwag next time. But I settled on Vaporeon, because I knew I wanted to have an evolution, because I love Eevee. So, there's my Vaporeon. There's what I taught it. And Bite's not a Dark move, because they didn't have Dark until next generation. There's my Mr. Mime that I used from my Psychic Pokemon. Since I'd never used Mr. Mime that much, I thought, hey, that'd be a cool one for Gen 1. I like Mr. Mime. He's kind of underrated. A lot of these Pokemon are just ones I hadn't really used before. My Graveler, which, you know, I wanted him to be a Golem, but I didn't get the cable in time. There's his moveset. I like how the lighting doesn't matter on this, because it's just like the nice backlit screen here, you know? Good job, Ab. You did a good job. And then my lovely Articuno there. Yeah, so, yeah, it's good. Here's kind of what the game looks like. I mean, it's got a charming sort of 8-bit aesthetic, you know, to it. And you know what I like about Pokemon is it took a lot of the typical RPG conventions and made them accessible, you know? Like, it has stores like the Mart, it has the Poke Centers, which is great. So that's like your inns, you know, in a typical JRPG. And then it's like a modern contemporary setting too, which is kind of cool. More like something like Persona. And then of course there's the gym battles, you know? So each one has an element. So like Pokemon, the whole premise obviously is like each Pokemon has an element and you want to choose, as long as you choose the right Pokemon elements to go up against the battles that you're like going up against, you're going to be fine, you know? Psychic was always a problem in Gen 1. I just kind of, you know, beat my way through it, honestly. I mean, but every other gym I feel like I had kind of the answer for. Notably the one playthrough I've done probably where I didn't use a fire type. Because they just come so late in the game. I wanted to use a fire type. I wanted to do like Growlithe, but Growlithe you don't get until later, and by then it was just like, I don't really need this. I've got a good team going on here. You know, so I have like my water Pokemon, I have like a psychic Pokemon, rock Pokemon who has like some ground moves. Pikachu, you know, that turned into Raichu, has the electrical moves. I know that's a little standard. I've used that before, but I do like Raichu. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. Some of my favorite Pokemon come from Gen 1. You know, you have Charmander, Raichu, Dragonite is one of my favorites. Snorlax. I had a level 99 Snorlax I caught with the missing no glitch back in the day. And you can see I love Snorlax. I've got the thing there. I mean, you know, maybe I love Snorlax because Ash loves Snorlax. But he's big, he's sleepy all the time, he's cute, and he's a powerhouse, you know? Who doesn't love Snorlax, right? That a reason I didn't use Snorlax in this playthrough, right? Because it's like I use Snorlax like every playthrough. It's like Pikachu. I use it all the time. Not because of Pikachu, because of Raichu. Because I like Raichu. I think Pikachu's a little overrated. I think Raichu is underrated. He deserves more love. You know, so... Similarly, that's why I use Bulbasaur. Because it's like I don't ever use him. I like Squirtle and fucking Charmander, and their evolution's better, but I do like Bulbasaur and his line. I just don't use him very often, you know? But he does make the first few gyms a lot easier. As a Charmander girl, I mean, my whole life, it was really hard, because the first two gyms were always really hard. Especially the first gym, you know? I learned that you have to use Butterfree, and that was like my one solution to that gym ever. Because it's like, that's what you can do, you know? Yeah. And then like Articuno just for the dragons at the end, pretty much is why I chose Articuno, so. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Pokemon is such a cool game. Each town feels cool to explore and get through, and there's always like some event going on in each town. Like, even if it's just a gym battle, you know, there's always something to do there. There's like Team Rocket, you know, they're like hanging out in like the top of the ghost tower there, and like you have to go get the Silph Scope from them at the game corner and sell it on there. And then there's like, you know, when they're at Silph Co there. I remember back in the day the water, giving the water to the guards was so annoying. It was just like trying to get to a point where I could finally fucking find the water and give it to the guards was annoying. And then you could finally get into Saffron City. Because you'd always go around it. There's like 4 ways to get to it from a lot of different directions. And you're just like, fuck you, guard. Let me in, you know, basically. So it's like this well-guarded fortress, basically. Are those guards working for Team Rocket? Like, that's gotta be a thing, right? Like, for sure. Like, I don't know. Anyway. You know, everyone hates going through, like, the caves, like Mountain Moon and stuff, because Zubat's just there the whole time. But, like, I don't know. It's not that bad as long as you have, like, a Pokemon to take it out. Maybe I'm just used to a lot of, like, the annoyances of these games, but, like, I do really still genuinely enjoy it. I didn't really have that much problems or hardships. The puzzles can be kind of a pain in the ass sometimes when you're like pushing blocks and stuff, but it's not so bad. I like how in some gyms, like, I don't know, maybe it's just the one, actually. Some gyms have, like, puzzles. They kind of go with that later in the series. But, yeah, like, the Koga one has, like, the maze. You can see the maze outline. I think on, like, the Game Boy, the original, it was, like, harder to see because it's, like, you know, it's not backlit, obviously. But on this Game Boy, it was, like, really obvious where the lines were. I remember just kind of having to bump around back in the day on mine, though, because I could never see that there was, like, the lines there. It wasn't as apparent on a regular Game Boy. Well, if that thing had batteries in it, I would boot it up and we could see what the difference was like. But yeah, actually, oh, and so I do have a Game Boy of that kind in there. I did lose mine at some point, or I think somebody stole it, honestly. But I bought one later on from a guy, Adam. He's this game collector who was here, helped me out with my NES collection back in the day. But yeah, so he sold me a new one for like $80 or something. I'd been looking for one for like a long, long time, and it was cool. It was just a good deal, and I'm glad to have it back now, for sure. I remember the soundtrack always does this right here at the. Oh my god, it's holy shit! How have I talked for this long about this fucking game? Oh my god! All right, it just keeps going. Well, we were at 20 minutes before I even started talking about the game, so so yeah, you know, you go through all the gyms. There's so many classic Pokemon, too. I don't want to just sit here and talk about all the Pokemon, but, like, we could talk about some of my favorites, you know. Of course, all the starters are classic. I really like the Pidgey line. Everyone apparently these days are saying they're bad or something, which is stupid, because I always used them back in the day. The only reason I didn't use them this time is because I always used them, you know. Of course, you got your Caterpie and Butterfree line, Beedrill. Pretty iconic. The Rattata, just decent. I used Fearow this time. People hate Fearow for some reason, but everyone who like knows the game says it's like a good Pokemon to use. Yeah, it was pretty decent. So I mean, it made do for the first half of the game that I used it for until I replaced it. I think I literally used it until I went all the way to the dungeon, the Seafoam Islands. To get Articuno there. What's cool about the places where the legendary birds are, too, is they're all kind of puzzle locations where you kind of have to push aside and stuff to get, like, to the location. So, like, Victory Road is where Moltres is at, and then, like, Seafoam Islands is where Articuno's at, and then the power plant, which is kind of just a side area that's like a secret area too, is where you get Zapdos. That's cool. Vulpix and Ninetales. Ninetales is definitely like one of my favorite Pokemon. I love Ninetales so much. One of my favorite shinies too. It's so cool. I remember when I finally got that, it was just amazing. You know, like, Meowth is iconic, and Persian. Apparently Persian's, like, really good in the Gen 1 game just because of the mechanics or whatever. Gotta have Psyduck, of course, and Mankey, Growlithe. The Poliwag line is cool. The fucking Abra line is, like, broken in these games. There's so many cool things like that with, like, Abra, you go into the grass, you try to catch one. It's so annoying because, like, it just keeps teleporting away from you and stuff. Like the Machop line. All the Gen 1 designs are really, like, good. I know some of them are kind of not good, but I love them all. They're just all pretty cool. I hate Jinx. Like, she's terrible because of Pokemon Go, but I don't know. She's an alright Pokemon. Like, Tentacool and Tentacruel, you know, they're okay. They're kind of like the Zubat of the ocean. Here's a good line, the Geodude line, you know, Golem. You had to trade some Pokemon to get them to evolve. That was kind of annoying, but it was more to encourage the mechanics of trading and whatnot. The Rapidash and Ponyta was good. Slowpoke, Slowbro. Farfetch is kind of a weird Pokemon, but I mean, it's cool. It's one you have to trade for. We just do the whole Poke Rap, you know, like... Oh, of course, the classic... The only ghosts in this game, that was kind of a problem in Gen 1. Like, there was psychic Pokemon, like, there was, like, at least 6 of them or whatever, but ghosts... These were the 3 ghosts, but this line is awesome. You know, Ghastly, Haunter, Gengar, love them. Gotta love them. So good. Apparently Onix is bad. I didn't know. I mean, he's cool in the anime, so you just kind of assume he's a great Pokemon. You know? So, yeah. Execute and Executor is always one I wanted to use in this game. Probably... The problem is you don't get them until the Safari Zone. That's the problem with a lot of these cool Pokemon. You know, Dragonite too, because like Dratini you don't get to the Safari Zone, and then it's like such low level, you have to trade it all the way up to 55 just to get it to evolve or whatever, so kind of sucks. These guys are kind of cool, Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan, because you get them at the Fighting Dojo. It's just kind of like it's all these like one-off Pokemon that you can only get like once in the game, like, that are pretty cool. Like Chansey's like super fucking rare, you know. Dawn, I believe, was the first designed Pokemon. So, that's interesting. I love Tangela. Tangela is such an underrated Pokemon. I know it's not good in this game, but I love Tangela. It is so cool. And I remember in Pokemon Legends Arceus, I got that shiny Tangela, and it grew into a shiny Tangrowth, which is awesome, but Tangela is so fucking underrated. Another problem with the Pokemon. You don't get it until it's too late, and its move pool is probably not that great. Let's see. Yeah, it has all the stun moves, but that's, like, about it. It needs, like, Mega Drain or something. It probably can learn that. I would love to use one, but you can't get one until you have Surf. So you have to at least be through Fuchsia, which is the same problem. That's all the problem is, like, whenever you get Surf and can be in the Safari Zone, that's when you get all the good Pokemon, but... Goldeen. It's like, that's one of those Pokemon nobody ever uses unless they have to. Fucking wish I could have used these guys. Way too late in the game, so... Hey, there's my boy, Mr. Mime, actually looking decent. Unlike in the game, he looks creepy in the game. Like, that's another thing, is like the weird back sprites. Like, I know they were worse in the original Red and Green, but like, oh my god, some of them just look so weird. Oh, and of course, original Jinx, racist Jinx. Oh. That's what she fucking sounds like, if you didn't know. It's annoying as shit. Of course, like, all the elusive... It's all the humanoid sort of Pokemon, you know, like Jinx. You get Jinx in the Seafoam Islands. Does it say that in here where you get them? It doesn't actually say that. Oh, actually... Right. So, in Cerulean City lives a man who will trade a common Poliwhirl for this rare, curious Pokemon. Jinx is a strange... combination of ice and psychic. So you can trade for one. I think that's only in Pokemon Blue though. But like Electabuzz, Magmar, and Pinsir, I remember all of those were kind of rare to get. You know, you just get them in very specific locations, which is kind of the problem. Pinsir is another one you can only get in the Safari Zone, and Scyther, and Tauros, you know. But Tauros is a cool fucking Pokemon. I like that. And then, of course, the iconic Magikarp and Gyarados. Gyarados is great. I would have used Gyarados, but it is a staple of my Red and Blue playthroughs, which I just, like, don't want to keep doing. Like, I want to try new things, you know? Of course, there's Lapras, too. You get that as a gift, like, way too late into the game. Ditto, an iconic Pokemon, and of course, my boy, yeah boy, Eevee. Such one of my favorite Pokemon. Seriously, top tier Pokemon. Like, that's up there, seriously, with like Snorlax, Charmander, and Dragonite for me, and Ho-Oh. All the evolutions. Of course, Vaporeon would get the most page space here. Porygon, you have to spend all those coins at the fucking game center, so you have to go gamble as a kid, play slot machines and shit. You know, there's a lot of good side content in this game, whether it's just collecting Pokemon, exploring new areas, the Safari Zone, the Celadon Game Corner, grinding to get your Pokemon to evolve, the fossils, you know, going out and like beating all the trainers is great. There's so much good content in the game. There's never a dull moment. It's so good. Of course, my preferred fossil line, the Kabutops line, just because they look cool. Maybe because of the anime episode. But of course, also Aerodactyl. I mean, come on, Aerodactyl's badass. And my boy Snorlax there. Of course, the iconic Snorlax, you have to go get the Pokeflute, wake it up, and it's a super tough battle, and it keeps resting, and, you know, keeps pulling that shit on you. It's crazy. There's also some non-linear sort of elements to the game. As long as you get certain items, like HMs and stuff, I forgot to talk about HMs, permanent moves that you can't unlearn. I don't know if there is a move deleter in this game, but, you know, you need them to navigate the world, cut down trees, you know, flash to light up tunnels, you have surf to surf over water, you have strength to move boulders, and fly to fly everywhere. That's the only one that's, like, non-essential. Also flash, I guess, isn't essential. You can, kind of bypass that one. So, but pretty good overall. Let's see, Pokemon. Yeah, there we go. We know it. We knew it. And of course, the fucking legendaries. The birds, man. So iconic. All of them are great. I love all of them. And all of them are like, good, too. They all have, like, good movesets and stuff. And of course, the legendary Dragonite line, you know? Way too late in the game. Same problem as all the others. But Dragonite is just iconic. And then, of course, there's Mewtwo. Mewtwo is the shit. A whole dungeon as the post-game where you go and catch the most powerful Pokemon of all time. You can catch all 149, but guess what, baby? As soon as that game ends, that's when you get to catch 150. You can technically catch 150 Pokemon if you catch Mew, but you can't catch all 151 without catching Mewtwo in that Cerulean Cave at the very end. That's what most people use their Master Ball on, you know? And this one doesn't have Mew, it just has more stuff. I think the green one has Mew. But anyway, and then they have like a checklist of like all the Pokemon. So, pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, just super iconic 151 designs there. So good. So fucking good. You know, I mean, are they all like the best thing ever? No, but they're all very nostalgic. And I know, that doesn't sound great, but it's not just nostalgia. The game, I promise, still holds up. The mechanics are good, too. They took the Dragon Quest fight, item, switch Pokemon. You know, I mean, and Dragon Quest didn't have that, but it had, like, a defend option in Dragon Quest, and then run, you know? The typical 4 RPG thing, and the battle screen is good. The music complements the battle screen and the traveling perfectly. And of course the bike, you know, that's an iconic thing, you know. It would have been nice, like, in the next game if you could just hit select and then you use the bike, but you have to go into your menu and use it and all that. The different tiers of Pokeballs, you know, that's so cool. Just the world, too. I know I've mentioned it a bunch of times. You know, you got so many different cities that just like stand out from each other, and they're all unique. They don't all feel bland as shit. They all kind of have their own personal identity, especially with the names. They're great names. You know, Pewter City, Cerulean City. You've got Viridian City. You got Vermilion City. You got Celadon City, Fuchsia City, Cinnabar Island, Lavender Town, Saffron City. It's cool. Yeah, but anyway, hey, what I was going to say earlier, as long as you get some of the HMs, you can actually just skip certain gym leaders. You could, like, you don't even have to do Lieutenant Surge, I think, right? Yeah, because Misty is the one that, like, lets you do cut. So then you can go and do some of the later ones, like Erica and stuff, which is crazy. So, yeah, it's cool. It's like, it's so interesting. It's such a unique sort of game. There's all these like little offshoot dungeons too, like the Diglet Tunnel, you know, that little path like that, like the Rock Tunnel, the Mount Moon is good. That's iconic, you know. You get Clefairy and Jigglypuff and shit. Jigglypuff's before Mount Moon, but you know what I mean. Yeah. You gotta take down Team Rocket, Giovanni, you know. That's a whole thing. I think they really did a good job with the anime, too, translating, like, the game to it and, like, making it, like, come alive and really feel like a real big world. Not that it already didn't feel like that, but then you see it on the screen, like, beautifully animated, and you're like, wow. Like, holy shit. And then that adds back to the game, which fuels into, like, the trading card game. It was a very multimedia franchise. They even had, like, fucking comics and shit. I have it here somewhere. Where was it? I have, like, the Mount Moon one, and then, the one... It's actually just... They were so lazy as to just take screenshots from the anime, and then, like, put, like, words on there, basically. This is cool, too. This is from, I think, Pokemon Stadium, it looks like, because they're, like, all 3D models. But, yeah. And then, on the back, it's got, like, or on the back of this one, anyway, it's got, like, some of the Pokedex. I used to have a poster. I still have it somewhere. It was, like, a Japanese one that had, like, all of the Pokemon on there, but I also have one here somewhere that has that exact same thing. Oh, there's the... That's what I was... Yeah, okay. And these are all still, like, from my childhood. You can see this one's so beat up, but it's, like, the episode, you know, with Lieutenant Surge and all of that. So that's pretty cool. And here is the, yeah, is this. I used to have a bigger version of this that was, like, hanging on my wall. I don't know where that went to, or if that just, like, got destroyed or something. I used to have, a big poster of Ash and Pikachu. That was always really cool. I still have that. I don't remember if that one is at my mom's house still, or if that's, so that's in my old room still, or if that's upstairs. I have, a poster of the first Pokemon movie, too. That was pretty cool. I think we, like, sent away magazines or something back then for those. Those were always really cool. Yeah, I loved those. So, obviously I was, like, a big fan back then. I still am. I just hate where the series is gone. You know, it was so hype. This was all so fucking good. What happened? How did you screw it up? You were going great as far as, like, Gen 3, and then it's like, it just all kind of goes downhill. It's still good, but it's like, just go back to how it was, you know? They were more obsessed with getting games out than they were with, like, making good games, you know? I think, like, the last truly great Pokemon game is Pokemon Legends Arceus. Like, that was, like, so good. Even that had its problems, but I mean, like, they need to really go back to that. I know that was only that was last year? What, was that, it was, like, the year before or something, but, they need to do another one of those, for sure. Like, seriously, get that going again. I will take any region with that. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna do some shitty region, like... Well, no, they already did Sinnoh, so they already did pretty much the worst region. Pokemon Legends. What the fucking... What was the one in Alola? What was the, like, legendary thing? I don't even remember. Anyway, they'll do that. They'll do Pokemon Legends Alola next. It'll be the next worst one, or whatever. Or would it be Pokemon Legends Scarlet and Violet? Oh, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway. They're not bad. They're just so disappointing. It's just... I'm just really burnt out on the new Pokemon, you know? I like these games. I don't want it to taint this. Oh, I like this. Look at this. Togepi and Mew are on there. Togepi, because of the anime. Anyway. Red and Blue are so good. And Yellow is pretty good, too. I mean, I don't really care as much for Yellow. Everyone seems to love that one. I will play Red and Blue so many more times, I'm sure. I mean, not so many more, but I'll play them again at some point. I really... They're the perfect start to the Pokemon franchise, and they're just such great games, and they're so magical in their own right. They have a couple of problems, like Pokemon showing up too late, just some early growing pains of, like, not understanding exactly how the Pokemon formula works, because the Pokemon formula wasn't a thing yet, you know? And I think they iron out a lot of that as soon as, like, maybe the next game, you know? And especially by Gen 3, I think a lot of that stuff gets ironed out. So they fixed a lot of their problems. Kanto is an iconic region for a reason. It was the first region. It's a great region, you know? It's just... It's so special. It's so magical. It's so... Pokemon, you know? It's beautiful. It's such a great game. It brings us all tears of nostalgia. Just listening to the music, you know, is wonderful. We all love it. I mean, come on, right? It's so good. It's so good. It's pretty much one of the perfect RPGs. I put it within my top, like, 20 games, I believe. Last time I did that was Pokemon Red and Blue. Those might even have made the top 10. Did they make the top 10? I don't think they did. But, like, Emerald and Gold are definitely some top tier ones. I don't think this time I'm going to actually play Gold. I think I'm going to play Crystal. I know I didn't play Yellow, but that's just because I don't think Yellow is as good as the original games. But I've never actually played Crystal, so I kind of want to do that one, you know? Since it's like the one gap in my Pokemon history. I probably won't be redoing my Gen 3 review, so I'll probably just keep that one off the table. Keep the old video as the thing. And then, you know, at some point we'll get to 4 and 5 and 6, 7. I already did 8, so we don't gotta do that, so... But I'm not really looking forward to a lot of those later ones, because it's just like, they're not as special as these ones. They're okay, but they're okay. You know, these are the real good ones, these early ones. Red and Blue, Gold, Emerald. Then from there, it's just like, you know. Thought Sword and Shield were pretty good. I like Gen 6. I think that's kind of underrated, but it does have its problems. They all have their problems after this, you know. This just has some minor... like, problems, world balancing Pokemon-wise, you know, like... But it's still a fantastic game. It's still so good. Graphically, it's beautiful for its 8-bitness. It doesn't always look great with the sprites and all of that, but like, from the front, they all usually look pretty good. From the back, it's weird, especially like Venusaur. Like, what am I looking at here? You know, that's what I feel like. And most of them, you can be like, okay, I get how that's like. I like how in the Hall of Fame too, it like shows them as they're going around. It like shows the back of them, and then it like flips them around. So you actually do get to see the back sprite as it flips around. Oh, I forgot to talk about that. So the gym leaders are all great. They probably could have been a little harder. I don't think anybody in the game except for Gary or your rival or whatever, who's one of the greatest rivals of all time. Like, he's so snarky, and he actually has good teams. And based on which starter you choose, he'll choose the one that's strong to you, and then he'll build his team around that, which is super fucking cool. And in Pokemon Yellow, based on certain parameters and whatnot of certain battles that you win and lose, he'll actually build his team around that. And it actually determines what he evolves his Eevee into, if I remember correctly. So, yeah. That's pretty fucking cool. I mean, I guess that's something for Yellow. Except you can't evolve your starter, which is stupid. I don't know. So, yeah. I like Pokemon. Gary's a great rival. And having him be the end fight after the Elite Four is just epic. And the music is epic. And fighting him at each stage is always... Now, I don't want to say it's a challenge, but as a kid it was a challenge, you know? It is like, he was always strong, and he would always kick my ass, and I'd have to go back and fight him a few times. So it was always a fun battle. He was always the most competent fighter in the entire game, besides yourself, you know? It's too bad we didn't get the planned fight with Professor Oak either. I mean, that would have been pretty cool. But didn't happen. That would have been really neat. But, like, yeah. I feel like it's actually like fight all the trainers and the gym leaders and stuff. Like, all of the Pokemon kind of get represented. Other than, like, Mewtwo and Mew and, like, the legendary birds and stuff. But, like, mostly somebody has, like, one of every Pokemon, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Pokemon's awesome. It's just epic. It's... Red and Blue, you know, especially, are just iconic, and they're so good, and some of my favorite games, and they were a big part of my childhood, obviously. There's probably so much more I could say about them, but I don't know. That's about what I have to say for now. Is everything in there is just great. The combat's great. Planning and strategizing and the infinite possibilities of team building is great. The world is cool. The secrets to explore and find is awesome. You know, I will travel across the land, searching far and wide these Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, it's you and me. I know it's my destiny. Pokemon, you're my best friend. In a world we must defend. Pokemon, our heart's so true. Our courage will pull us through. You teach me, and I'll teach you. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all, Pokemon. I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. Dun, 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 dun. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. I will travel across... And then we did that, Russ. Alright, anyway. The most iconic fucking theme song ever. Pokemon's so good. Such a great multimedia franchise, too. Having the toys and just the guides. I forgot to talk about the guides. They're super fucking cool. I mean, look at this shit. Look at this artwork. Isn't the artwork amazing? It's so good. Like, the motherfucking guides. It's cool. Look at this. Look at this. It's like a map. A fucking, where is this? This is a map of the whole fucking game? I think it is. It's a map of the whole fucking game. That's crazy. I say ingrained trading at the top. Oh, it's a map of the whole game where you can, like, trade stuff for. Some of the trades are stupid, but a lot of them are cool. Oh my god. There was stamps in this guide. Somebody took a lot of them. Nobody took Charizard, though, you'd think. Look at these weird sprites. Those aren't the sprites from the game. It's weird. Some of those are. Oh my god. Look at this. Look at this fucking art. It's so good. Let's look at this one. Oh my god. Look at this. And then look at the back. That's so good. So good. Oh, the little baby starters with their cute designs. That's so good. This is always so cool too. This like this view of Kanto. It's great. Gotta love Kanto. What's this? Oh hey, the stickers again. Somebody only took the bottom or the top half this time. Yeah, I just have multiples. Whoa. What the fuck, Pidgeotto? Oh, I see. Okay. So you put the stickers next to the Pokemon when you catch them. That's fucking cool. I like that. Oh my god, look, it has like the little areas that they're on. Like, that's a cool thing about the game too. When you do the Pokédex, it goes in there. You can read little information about when you catch the Pokemon, and you can nickname Pokemon too. That's cool. But they all have like little things written about them. It's neat as fuck. I love it. It's so good. Look at this Pidgeot. Look at his fucking hair. It's just like sticking way up. It's crazy. Well, that Rattata is like fucking ridiculous too. Anyway. Man, I love Pokemon so much. It's especially it's just a really big part of my childhood. I love it. It's so good. Red and blue are iconic. You know, everything about them is iconic. Probably mentioned the music like 6 billion times already, but it's just so good. Every piece of music in the game is amazing. Even the shitty ones like Cinnabar Mansion or whatever. It's so weird, but it's like it's pretty good. For an 8-bit soundtrack especially is pretty cool. It's just such a fun game with so much creativity and so much lore that can be expanded upon, and they did expand upon in the multiple other adaptations of the games, you know, like the anime and the trading card game, Pokemon Go, everything else, you know, that they did, all the remakes and the later games and stuff. It just keeps carrying on in our hearts to this day, you know. You know, you gotta believe in yourself, you know. You believe in me and I'll believe in you. Pokemon. That's not it. That's not how it goes. It's the game of a generation. My fucking generation, alright? I'm the Pokemon generation. I was at the perfect point to where the shit was the shit, so. And I still love it. I just don't love where they've taken it, you know? But right now we're gonna enjoy the good games, you know, so. Red and Blue. Pokemon Red. The very first game for my very first console. Not my very first game, but the very first game I had for my very first console. And it's just a magical game at that. So good. Gotta catch them all, you know? So, yeah. I had a really good time. I had a really good time replaying Pokemon Red and Blue. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun using a lot of Pokemon I hadn't used before. My minor complaints are not going to keep me from giving it a 10 out of 10 because I love it. So Pokemon Red and Blue gets a 10 out of 10. Am I too nostalgic? Maybe, but like, I just love it. I couldn't not give it a 10 out of 10. It's just one of my favorite games of all time, you know? It's given me so much enjoyment. And it's a short RPG. It's like a 30-hour RPG. That's great. That's perfect. So I appreciate brevity. It's legendary, right? So until next time, you know, when I do Pokemon Crystal and Gen 2, we'll talk about that. That's a good generation as well. I really like that. Spans upon the Pokemon lore. So we'll talk about that next time. Keep it classic. Stick around for more reviews, underrated games, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Emily,